Hello again to all my free-minded friends. J.R. Dukes at your service. Appreciate everybody joining me today. Going to give everybody just a second to get into the chat. I have to apologize off the bat. I don't know why I always keep putting an hour ahead of time. For example, I put 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I had every intention of saying 9 o'clock as of right now. So I changed it for 5 minutes out, and it looks like it's all going to work out good. So I apologize if there's any miscommunication. The good thing about YouTube is if you subscribe and click that bell notification anytime there is a change or an update or I go live with my program, the good news is you'll get an immediate alert and you'll be made aware of exactly what's going on. So, folks, I want to say hello to everyone. Please let me know where you're from. If you don't mind, go ahead and take a quick moment, introduce yourself, say hello, and let me know where you're from. So I want to say hello to La Forge. Thank you for joining us. Hello from Florida. I'm working, but at the same time watching your channel. Hopefully I won't type Fani on my report. Yeah, I know how that is. I get distracted easy, as you can tell. I'm in Florida also, right outside Tampa Bay. So welcome to my neighbor there. What area of Florida are you from, if you don't mind sharing? Folks, it's always a pleasure to have my regulars with me. American Nana, you are always there. I appreciate you. I appreciate Kim. She's always in my chats one way or the other. I want to make sure everything's working good. If you can't hear me, please let me know. But I think we're ready to go ahead and start diving into this. I was originally going to go ahead, as I said earlier, and tear into the Supreme Court motion. As you guys are aware, a fantastic, great, it's a day that frankly will live forever, especially as far as the United States Supreme Court is concerned, because a great day for Donald Trump. The Supreme Court, in a 9-0 decision, said that Colorado and Trump versus Anderson cannot bar Donald Trump from the ballot. Hooray. This is not a day just for Republicans or a day for Democrats. It's a day for Americans. This is truly a decision that is going to save our country. And I don't want to sound overly dramatic, my friends, but that is the honest truth. Because had it gone the other way and each state had the ability to take someone off the ballot for any reason they see fit, and all they'd have to say is this behavior is de facto insurrection and you're out of there. And what you would have is, I don't know, but it would not be the United States of America as we know her today. And we have to love our country first and foremost. It has to go beyond party, it has to go beyond any particular candidate, and it has to work the same for everyone. So I applaud the U.S. Supreme Court and the liberal justices that are on the court, because I'm sure that they were under a lot of pressure to go the other way. And yet it's amazing how the vision of our founding fathers worked out so well. Obviously, we're a country blessed by God, formed by God, and I am just absolutely enthused and very pleased with the way that this all turned out today. So we were going to take a very deep dive into the actual opinion that was passed out. It's about 21 pages, again, from the U.S. Supreme Court. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that off till probably tomorrow, and we're going to take a big, serious deep dive because there are a lot of lessons learned. And rather, we're going to jump into a breaking news story that literally broke when I stopped the last live stream and I said, we have to go with this today and report it. It is directly out of Fulton County, Georgia, aka Atlanta. And of course, we're talking about a big Fani. We're talking about Fani Willis of Fulton County fame. We're all familiar with her, I'm sure. Let me just make sure everything is working like it should, and we're going to dive into this. Any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I always try to make time for the comments. I love to have a conversation with you guys. I don't want to be just a talking head on the TV screen here. If you got something you want to ask me. Please keep the comments what we call PG and appropriate. You don't have to agree with me or anything that I say. Just any type of detraction, any kind of negative comments, that's no problem. You don't have to agree. As a matter of fact, I like a channel where we can all have different viewpoints. I don't want to engage in indoctrination. I want everybody to make their own mind up for themselves. Now, of course, I'm always right with my opinion. Of course, I'm joking here, but what I will say is we just need to be respectful. I'm sure we all understand what that's all about. So back to it here. Hello again to American Nana. Again, folks, sorry about the time mess up, but I appreciate y'all's understanding. Sometimes my days start running together. Oh, okay, you're in Bradenton. Fantastic. Well, I'm on the north side over here, up in, y'all may or maybe never heard of a town called Zephyr Hills, Florida, but that's where I live at, right outside of the Tampa Bay area. It's technically considered Tampa Bay, but I love it here. Hello, Danny. Washington State in the house as always. America's Hope. Hello. Hi, Linda. It's always good to have you listening with us. Yeah, the 9-0 decision, that's fantastic. You know, I've been saying for quite some time that it was going to be, oh, and Rebecca's in the house. Rebecca, thank you for joining us. I hope you got my text message. I'm so sorry that I cut that live feed or our live stream so quick the other day. I think I explained to you what I was trying to do or not do. Any questions, put them in the chat. I appreciate you being a supporter and tuning in. It would be aggravating to me too if I drop somebody what do they call it, a super chat or a quick tip or whatever it is, and boom, the guy's off the broadcast. I saw it come in right after I ended the stream, and I was like, oh, that's not a good thing. She's not going to be too happy, but I'm going to try to make it up to you. So anyway, it's Rebecca Starr in the house. Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate you. I really do, sweetheart. Thanks everybody who supports me, who supports the channel. I've said many times, I do not do this for money. No way, no how, no sir. But I enjoy it. It gives me something to do in my spare time. And I love helping people. I love talking about things that affect your life and my life. I'm a firm believer that when you understand the world we live in better, you can live better. Therefore, my job is to help you live your best life possible. It's just that easy, folks. There's no hidden agenda here. It's just me and you, and we're having a chat, and we'll just take it from there. Rosemarie Fiera, it's always a pleasure having you in the house. She's always joining us one way or the other. We appreciate your patronage. Okay. Hello again, Yvonne. Good to see you. I know you, New Mexico. Right on, right on. Okay, I'll take up the rest of the comments here in just a few minutes. Okay, so the breaking news for today. You guys ready for this? Let's switch over to the little live screen thing. It has been reported by a few people here and there on Twitter, and I guess it's called X now. Also, the New York Post is going with the story. We will be taking a look at it very soon, and here's the paperwork right here on the screen that we will review shortly. Fani Willis is at it again, and yet there is more to pile on to the heap of you-know-what that's already going on. Published reports state Fani Willis warned Nathan Wade's lawyer to stay quiet about the affair between her and her paramour, Nathan Wade, a.k.a. prosecutor, a.k.a. partner in crime. Wade's lawyer to stay quiet about affair, court filing claims. They're coming after us. Woo! Folks, it's just another piece of this puzzle. If this is true, this is only going to expedite what's coming down the pipe for her, so to speak, because this is just yet again more evidence, like they needed more evidence, right? But it's more evidence of the obvious criminal activity. As they have been saying many times, it is basically a fraud upon the court. Now, what is a fraud upon the court? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when you are trying to screw the court. And that's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to commit perjury. You don't want to commit a fraud upon the court. All of these people are taking very serious legal risk with their very lives, to be perfectly honest with you, with their family's financial future, their financial future, their freedom. Right now, today, Donald Trump's former, I don't know, he was an accountant. He was basically a right-hand man for Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump, and Donald Trump. I think the guy's name is Axel. Well, I'm not going to say because I'm not exactly for sure. But at any rate, he was in court today to plead guilty to perjury. Not perjury in a criminal case, alleged perjury in a civil case. Now, civil, of course, meaning money. Doesn't matter that it was just about money. He has pleaded guilty or has pled guilty. I'll have to look at the most current paperwork. He will be serving time in prison for making misstatements in a civil case. Now, if that is the standard applied to him, what do you think should happen to Fani Willis and company? And we're gonna take a little bit of a dive on this and just circle all the potential areas that are very clear, at least to me, where there is at least a perjury risk, if not outright fraud, corruption on the court, what's called honest service fraud. There's a whole list of crimes. As a matter of fact, there is a RICO case. The RICO case, in my estimation, can potentially involve all the way up to the Joe Biden White House, all the way down to Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, and any and everyone associated with them, including but not limited to Terrence Bradley, the ex-law partner of Nathan Wade, the ex-partner that for whatever reason was helping Ashley Wade at first, saying, "You go be great, girl." And boom, he had a change of heart the very next month, which of course was February, as in 3 or 4 days ago. That's the truth. It almost doesn't sound real, does it? Yet you have Trump's ex-employee or former employee or whatever his status is, but you have an old man like him who's harmless. He's obviously a good man. Maybe he did commit perjury. I don't know, but let's assume he did in a civil case. He's going to prison, and yet we all know what's happening down here in Georgia. I should say up there in Georgia. You know that song, "The Devil Went Down to Georgia"? Well, I'm going to tell you the devil is in Georgia. The devil's in Georgia right now, and the devil takes many forms. One of them is a big form in the form of Fani. But I digress. I don't want to go down that too much further. So, folks, I appreciate all the comments. Keep putting them in the comments. I will get to them, I promise. Just give me a little bit of time to work my way back over to this particular session. So let's go ahead and let's start diving into it. I want to show you what they have. Now, remember, there's not a whole lot, at least I couldn't find a whole lot online. This is one of these things that are just breaking, brand new, it's fresh. In addition to this particular news in the Fani Willis saga, more information, or I should say more scandalous stuff going on. Believe it or not, you know how you hear on the news where a particular hacking group has taken over the computers of such and such company, and it's a ransom type situation. And if they don't pay, they're going to destroy your computers. This is happening right now in Fulton County, Georgia. And these particular hackers have stated that there are interesting papers, I'm assuming pertaining to former President Donald Trump. And if the Fulton County DA does not produce the cash, they claim they're going to release the papers. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Imagine if there was documents there on their servers in their computers that they have failed to turn over as they're supposed to, with a subpoena and under law and under the color of law and under the instruction of Judge Scott McAfee. That would be interesting. But you know what? I shouldn't say that. I can't imagine Fani Willis lying. Can you? Or Nathan Wade, or any of them trying to engage in any type of mispractice. Of course, I'm joking, but that's what the report currently says. Also happening today, and I was able to verify this before I came on air with you. As it turns out, the Senate, now not the federal Senate, the state Senate in the state of Georgia, has issued a subpoena to one of my favorite attorneys on earth. And who's that attorney? We're talking about attorney Ashley Merchant. They want her to show up this Wednesday with some records, and they want to talk to her. What do you think they want to talk to her about? They want to talk to her about Big Fani. You heard it right. They want to talk to her about Fani Willis because they are conducting their own investigation, as you know, and now they're widening and expanding their investigation into whatever is going on with Fani Willis and the DA's office there. Interesting, right? And then finally, I want to point out too, the other side of the state house, if you will, let's just say it's the state house of Georgia. That's probably an easy way to say it. Together, we call it the Georgia Assembly, but just for clarification, the House, do you know what they're doing? Yes, you do. They are actively working towards impeachment of Fani Willis. Remember the 22 count indictment? I have every plan to go over each and every 22 charges that are currently listed against Fani Willis. And we'll see exactly how that all transpires. Now, remember, if the House does actually impeach her, it's pretty well the same thing on the federal level. She's not immediately removed from office. It has to go to the Senate for a trial. And if the 2/3 is met, then she will be removed. In addition to all that, coming up on the 7th of March, Fani Willis and the DA's office has another problem with the Fulton County Commissioners Board because they want her in there. Among all the other stuff going on, there are 2 additional ethics complaints that have been filed against her, and she must stand and give an account in Fulton County, Georgia for that too. Wow. What a plateful, right? Remember now, the list that I've been keeping of the potential cases, the potential criminal and civil liability that Fani Willis, her office, and Nathan Wade. I probably should add Terrence Bradley to that list because, in my estimation, this individual has seriously compromised himself, not just on a civil type situation. He, in my opinion, runs the risk of losing his law license, what we call disbarment. And I also think that there is a serious chance that he could be charged on some kind of perjury, because it's clear that he lied under oath. You know it. I know it. It's very obvious. We get time, we're going to take a look at some of that testimony, and then we're going to dissect it accordingly, because it is just compelling what is going on in that situation over there. So, okay, well, let's take a quick peek here. I got everything pretty well laid out. We won't get to it today, but tomorrow we are going to talk about this ruling right here from the Supreme Court. Like I said, it's about 21 pages. A great read, and you will definitely enjoy it when you read it with me. If you were not able to join us earlier today and you'd like to take a deeper dive into the 14th Amendment and exactly how it relates to this Donald Trump case and the issues relating to that, please be sure to check out the last live feed we just had earlier, as it's pretty informative, I would say. We went into different things you need to understand about the 14th Amendment, and I think it was pretty well explained. So, and yeah, Lenny, thanks for pointing that out. Please hit that smash button. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. It definitely helps out the algorithm, and it lets other people see the video. The more you hit the thumbs up button, the more opportunities YouTube gives me to reach out and talk with other folks. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let me start switching my screen over. This software is really good with, I love the software that they have with, what's this called? The StreamYard. I just have to make sure that we don't hit the wrong button, because I don't want to have to dig myself out of a hole. But here we go. All right, this should work out pretty good. As you see, now this is this is one of the motions that it seems like every day there's a different motion filed. I mean, I'm just telling you straight up. It seems like every day there's some type of motion, some type of filing. But this is what has been rocking everything today, is this particular motion that was filed on behalf of David Schafer. And we'll talk about him in just one second. Make sure everybody can see that nice and clear. Blow it up just a little bit. Okay, I think this will work out pretty good. We can highlight that. Okay, yeah, that looks good. We'll see how it works out. Okay, now, who is David Schafer? Y'all remember us talking about him? David Schafer was a very well politically connected, well, he was a Republican operative, is probably the best way to say it. This guy was the chairperson of the Republican Party in Georgia. Unfortunately for him, he was caught up in this bogus, ridiculous so-called RICO case, racketeering, internally corrupt organizations. This guy is not the kind of guy to roll over and take it, if you know what I'm saying. He set up his own website. Obviously, he's hired himself a lawyer, and he has been fighting tooth and nail against Sweet Fani and her partners in crime. And this is the next step that he has taken, and he's the one that has brought all this to our attention. So we're gonna read. It shouldn't take long. We're gonna read the story. It's all of 4 pages. We're gonna read this together and talk about it and see what the allegations are, because it's another nail in the coffin, so to speak, of sweet Fani. So let's see how this works out. All right. So, of course, we have in the Superior Court, Fulton County, Georgia, just the court there in Fulton County, state of Georgia versus David James Schafer. Again, the Republican operative there I think he was the chairman of the Republican Party. Whenever you see at all, ETAL, that's Latin, which basically means all the rest of the homies. No, it doesn't mean that, but it does mean all the other partners, all the other individuals that are part of this RICO action. Okay. And of course, you got the case number. All right. Defendant David J. Schafer's notice of proposed testimony. Now, what is a notice of proposed testimony? Well, essentially, he is turning this into the judge. And remember, the judge at this particular moment is taking this under advisement. It's probably the best way to say it. And he has already told us that he's going to take 2 weeks to make his decision. One of the stories we're going to talk about is the fact that Delta, after fighting it, has turned over to the court information and documents that the judge wanted pertaining to plane tickets purchased and or taken by Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. So why is that important? With the fact that he took 2 weeks, or is going to take 2 weeks to make a decision in this case, I'm thinking the judge is waiting on some stuff. And the fact that this report came out today, that it's just now being turned over to him, it's just easy to surmise that he's got some unfinished business to look into. You know what I mean? And now we have this motion that out of the clear blue, boom. And it was just last week that the attorney for Donald Trump, Steve Shadow, he was, boom, hey, guess what I got for you, Judge? I got you a whole bunch of cell phone records to dump on this. I also said last week that there's no guarantee that this is the last shoe to fall, if you know what I'm saying. I have every confidence. I expect there to be more that's coming. There's no way that these two were doing the nasty since 2019. All this evidence is just drip, 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 drip. We live in a day and age where there's too many cameras. Everything is just too documented. It's going to be too easy to prove that these individuals are together and were together, at least from 2019. I don't know exactly what the nature of the evidence is, but what I have just said seems like it always comes true. It's just one thing after another, what they call a death by 1,000 cuts. And that's that's just the way I started to make a Fani joke, but I changed my mind. So, all right, here we go. Defendant David J. Schafer shares this notice of proposed testimony. What I was going to say is he's basically making a proffer to the judge. He's like, Judge, the defendant, or I should say the witness that I'm wanting to bring to you, if you will allow this case to be opened up again and allow me to add some additional evidence in the form of a witness, I have a witness that is willing to testify under oath, meaning under penalties of perjury. This particular witness is willing to make a statement that will say the following, and that's what we got going on here. So it's a proffer. It's telling the judge, here's what to expect. Defendant Schafer files this notice of proposed testimony and respectfully submits to the court and the parties that in the event that the evidence were reopened regarding the various motions to dismiss or to disqualify the district attorney for Fulton County, Fani T. Willis, and or special prosecutor and lover, Nathan Wade, from the prosecution of this action, that Mr. Schafer would offer the testimony of attorney Cindi Lee Yeager. Okay, he does identify the party here, Cindi Lee Yeager. I looked her up, and I'll give you that information in a second. And it says a co-chief deputy district attorney for the Cobb County, Georgia district attorney's office. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means there's a woman that is an attorney, and this is what she's going to say. Her name is Cindi Lee Yeager. All right. On Friday, March 1st, 2024, Ms. Yeager spoke via telephone with undersigned counsel for Mr. Schafer and Mr. Christopher Annualwiz. I can't say the word. Can't say the last name. We'll just say Christopher. Counsel for defendant Robert Sheely. Following is a summary of the proposed testimony, which was provided by Miss Yeager to counsel for Mr. Schaefer and Mr. Sheely. So we don't want to get confused here. Let's make sure we got all the parties straight, okay? So yeah, sometimes when you're reading these legal documents, you got to slow down and you got to be really careful, and you got to make sure that you understand what's going on here. So we got Cindi Lee Yeager, and we have on March 1st, 2014, Yeager spoke via telephone with the undersigned counsel, so with an attorney for Mr. Schaefer, counsel for Mr. Schaefer, and the attorney for Mr. Christopher, counsel for defendant Robert Sheely. I'm going to guess they're not going to say exactly who the witness is, probably for their protection. They're just letting the judge know what they are likely to say. All right, following is a summary of the proposed testimony, which was provided by Ms. Yeager to counsel for Mr. Schaefer. Okay, here we go. From in or around August 2023, we're talking last year, through January of 2024, boom, this year, Ms. Yeager had numerous in-person and other communications with attorney Terrence Bradley, in which information relating to District Attorney Willis and Mr. Wade was discussed. Now, who is Terrence Bradley? We remember Terrence Bradley. He was the former partner of Nathan Wade. He was on the stand forever. He's Mr. I can't remember, Mr. I can't recall. He's also the guy that told Ashley Merchant via text, go be great. He was the one encouraging her to go forward with the particular motion to have DA Fani Willis removed from office. Just want to make sure we keep the party straight here, all right? All right. It goes on. In the course of Mr. Bradley and Mr. Yeager's discussion, these are two attorneys talking. In the course of Mr. Bradley and Mr. Yeager's discussion, Mr. Bradley told Miss Yeager the following, okay? So remember and keep the party straight in your mind here. District Attorney Willis and Mr. Wade met during the 2019 Municipal Court Continuing Legal Education Conference. We kind of already knew that, because that has been kind of what everybody has been alluding to. These were attorneys that were going to these conferences, and this particular one, we call it, in the trade, it's called CE, continuing education. Whether you're a tradesman or you're in the law profession, a lot of these professions require continuing education in order to keep your license. If you don't take the CE, boom, you can't be a licensed whatever, whether it's a plumber, electrician, or in this case, an attorney. The laws vary state to state, but this is the way it is. And again, when it comes to lawyers, they generally have these real nice, posh, hotel type experiences, and I can just tell you there is all kinds of shenanigans, we'll call them shenanigans, that occur during these conferences. It's just I don't know, I guess it depends on your opinion, and it probably depends on the state and what's going on. I don't really think there's a lot of learning going on, if you know what I mean. I think it's more of an excuse to have a tax write-off and have a good time. Just my opinion, but that's what I have observed. All right. So that's what's going on. They met at this conference. Remember, Fani Willis was on the stand, and what she was mad about is the implication was, or someone outright said, that when Nathan Wade and her met at this conference back in 2019, she was upset that the allegation was they did the nasty quickly. She didn't like that at all. She doesn't mind a lot of things, but don't call her, you know what I'm thinking of. Don't call her that, because it upsets Fani. Fani doesn't want it to be known that she was quick to jump in bed with Nathan Wade. That's what bottom line it boils down to. Okay. All right. Mr. Wade began his romantic relationship with District Attorney Willis at or around this time. You know, when you look at Nathan Wade's soon-to-be ex-wife, he's still married, by the way. She's a beautiful woman. I mean, she is really attractive. I've had many pictures of her in my thumbnails. If you just scroll down the video session, she's a very attractive woman. They were married 26 years. He inks a deal to be the prosecutor on the so-called Trump RICO case, November 1st, 2021. And what does he do on November 2nd, 2021? I think I'll divorce my wife. And that's exactly what he did. If you recall, yesterday, was it yesterday or Saturday, whatever day it was, we went online together using Cobb County portal. Cobb County, by the way, folks, is just a county in what's considered the metro Atlanta area. We went on together and we went to the Cobb County site. I was showing you how the public record stuff works. You can type in Wade and then Nathan, hit the enter button, and boom, the cases all pull up. And that's what it showed. It actually didn't show November 2nd. It showed November 3rd, which is typical. It shows the filing date that they actually filed. So it's consistent with everything we've been told. Why is that day important? Well, under penalty of perjury, both parties have said they have never been intimate. We'll just go there until after they were working professionally together, allegedly, on this RICO case, a so-called RICO case involving former President Trump. Anything before November 1st, 2021 would be perjury at a minimum. Most likely evidence of fraud on the court. So moving on. It says, Mr. Wade began his romantic relationship with District Attorney Willis at or around this time, talking about 2019. All right. Mr. Wade had definitely begun a romantic relationship with Miss Willis during the time that Miss Willis was running for district attorney in 2019 through 2020. Remember now, this is what this individual is going to say they heard. Boom. This is what they're laying out for the judge right here. So I just want to make sure you understand what all these bullet points are about. So that you can get following as a summary of the proposed testimony, which was provided by Miss Yeager to counsel for Schaefer and okay. This is what was provided. That if you allow the case to be reopened, here's what this individual is going to testify concerning. All right, or here's what they're going to say. Basically, is the best way to say it. All right, moving on. Mr. Wade had definitely begun a romantic relationship with Miss Willis during this time that Miss Willis was running for district attorney, so 19 through 2020. Another person that will be able to say this is exactly what happened definitively based on their personal knowledge and or experience. Okay. Mr. Bradley stated that he had personal knowledge of the relationship between Mr. Wade and District Attorney Willis, and included details regarding the use of Miss Robin Yeager's apartment and other meetings prior to November 2020. Remember, that's an important month, November 1st, 2021. Now, who is Robin Yeager? Remember her? We'll look at a photo of her again in a second on my little flow chart I made for everybody. She was the first witness in this removal hearing. She is the, I guess now, the ex, not really best friend, but friend / college roommate of the DA Fani Willis's life, period. In other words, they went to college together. They were roomies, buddies, whatever the girls call each other, their sisters, whatever. They were friends. And she testified on the stand unequivocally that in 2019, Nathan Wade, Fani Willis were a couple. And I don't mean they were friends that like to go to the library and read books. They were in an adult relationship together involving adult things. They asked her, how do you know this? And she goes, well, I seen it. And they go, what do you mean you've seen it? She goes, well, I saw them holding hands and I saw them kissing. Boom. All right. Just that simple. So it's not like Terrence Bradley, the ex-law partner of Nathan Wade, is the only individual that can corroborate that they were a couple or were not a couple before November 1st, 2021. There are other individuals that possess the knowledge to state the same. I just think a lot of emphasis has been made as to whether or not they can prove the case with or without the acknowledgement from Bradley. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter what Bradley said. I think Robin Yeager, she's a very proper witness. They tried to make her out on the stand as being basically an employee, a former employee with an axe to grind, because she went to work for the DA Fani Willis administration, I'm assuming as an attorney in the DA's office or as a helper in the DA. I'm not sure, but she was an employee. That's all you need to know. She was an employee, and something happened. Fani Willis told her she would have to terminate her or she could have the option to quit. So she chose the option to quit. Now, it makes sense that, oh, well, she's an employee with an axe to grind. I mean, that would be a natural that'd be a natural thought someone could have concerning Miss Yeager, but there's a problem with that. Miss Yeager fought tooth and nail not to come in. She all but kicked and screamed all the way to court. She did not want to come in. She told Ashley Merchant, I am scared to death. I'm scared something's going to happen to me. I don't want nothing to do with this case. The judge had to order her to show up. She had to show up under subpoena from the court with the instructions from the judge. You need to show up. It's just that simple. That doesn't sound like someone that's got an axe to grind. Someone with an axe to grind as a former employee, you don't even have to subpoena them. They're happy to be there because they want to sit there and they want to hammer you. Does that make any sense? If this was a witness that could be impeached, if this was a witness that had her own agenda, it's inconsistent with the behavior that she was giving to the court. All right, enough on that. Mr. Bradley stated that Mr. Wade personally prepared his own divorce complaint against his spouse. So we want to make sure we follow this here. Mr. Bradley, which is the ex-law partner, stated that Mr. Wade personally prepared his own divorce complaint against his spouse, Miss Jocelyn Wade. We've talked about her extensively. And told Mr. Bradley to sign the divorce filings and to file them on Mr. Wade's behalf. Based on these statements, it is Miss Yeager's understanding that Mr. Bradley did not, I want to make sure I read it right, that Mr. Bradley did not begin representing Mr. Wade until November of 2021. Boy, that's extremely interesting right there, because remember, there was a big hoop-de-doo in court because this Terrence Bradley and Nathan Wade were trying to hide behind attorney-client privilege. Well, how can they do that? Well, Terrence Bradley was trying to say he represented Nathan Wade in his divorce. Therefore, anything that they discussed or talked about would be attorney-client privilege. And with an attorney-client privilege, you can't be made to testify to the court. That was his position. Now, for the most part, that is true if there's an attorney-client privilege, but there's exceptions. Just like anything in the law, folks, there's always exceptions. And there's an exception to the attorney-client privilege. An example would be like if an attorney knew you were going to go harm someone. You can't sit down and have a consultation with your attorney and say, I think I want to go hurt somebody today. They would be ethically bound to contact the police or whomever and say, hey, I think my client's a kook. He's about to go out and kill somebody or harm somebody. Obviously, that's an exception. Another exception is a fraud on the court, and that's what's going on in this case, a fraud on the court. You can't hide behind the attorney-client privilege and allow it to be something that allows a crime or some kind of malfeasance or some kind of fraud on the court to be perpetrated, and you basically say, no, it's attorney-client privilege. And here's another interesting fact. They allegedly have this attorney-client privilege, even though not $1 was paid from Nathan Wade to Terrence Bradley for his representation. Now, in all fairness, you don't have to exchange money to technically have someone become your counsel, become your attorney. But let's be straight up about it. That's just freaking weird. That's just absolutely weird. You have your ex-law partner that's your divorce attorney. What? And you don't pay him. You didn't give him $1. And now there's someone willing to come by and say straight up that Mr. Bradley's a liar. He's a liar. And I believe this person because when you look at the text messages sent between Terrence Bradley and Ashley Merchant, the attorney representing Michael Roman, it's clear that this guy, Terrence Bradley, knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly when the relationship began, and I'm talking about the adult relationship between Nathan Wade and Fani Willis. Any idiot knows what's going on. They're just playing this game with the judge, and it's a weird game because the judge is the trier of fact in this case. It's not a jury. The trier of fact is the judge. It's really weird how that works, and we've talked about that before. If we have time, we'll dice that up a little bit and talk about that. But it's just, you got to keep that in mind. The judge is the one making the decision, aka the trier of fact in this particular case. Right? Okay, it goes on. In or around September 2023, Mr. Bradley was visiting Miss Yeager. So you got Bradley visiting Yeager in her office when Bradley received a telephone call. Miss Yeager could hear that the caller was District Attorney Willis. District Attorney Willis was calling Bradley in response to an article that was published about how much money Mr. Wade and his law partners have been paid in this case. Oh, Miss Yeager heard District Attorney Willis tell Bradley, they are coming after us. You don't need to talk to them about anything about us. You don't need to talk to them about anything about us. Miss Yeager watched Mr. Bradley's testimony before the court and became concerned as a result of the fact that what Mr. Bradley testified to on the witness stand was directly contrary to what Mr. Bradley had told Miss Yeager in person. Therefore, in the event that the court reopens the hearing to receive additional evidence as requested by the state and defense, former President Trump, Mr. Schaefer requests that the defense be permitted to subpoena Ms. Yeager and present Ms. Yeager's testimony relating to the matters set forth herein. Respectfully submitted today, this 4th day of March 2024, signed by Craig A. Gillen. Bar number and everything right there. Boom. And of course, Holly Pearson. And as we've also talked about, you have to have a certificate of service, which means you've sent the other side a duly executed and complete copy of the motion or whatever this particular certificate of service pertains to. So just the way they do, way they conduct business. Interesting, isn't that? That's what you call something. You know what I mean? That's something. What do you guys think about that? Put in the comments below. Isn't that that's what you call a talker? If the judge allows more testimony to be heard, let me ask you something. Why do you think an attorney would say something like this Miss Yeager? Why do you think she would contact the judge essentially, or the court, and say, I'd like to come forward and offer this testimony? I'd like to go ahead and okay, Danny, I'll see you later, Chief. I know. Thank you for stopping by, my friend. Why do you think people would, an attorney would say, hey, mea culpa, I need to help out. I need to do my part. Well, let me tell you the reason why. As lawyers, and listen, not every lawyer does this the way they should, but you got to remember, to practice law is a privilege. It's not a right. Just because you went to law school, just because you passed the bar, does not mean you have a right to practice law. There is no constitutional right to practice law. There is no right to practice law. It is a privilege. They call it a privilege license, just like a lot of different licensing. It's called a privilege license. Matter of fact, most jurisdictions, a business license is no longer called a business license. They call it a privilege license. It is a privilege. Same thing here. My guess is that this particular attorney saw a wrong, saw something she knew was false. And as an attorney, your first obligation is what they call an officer of the court. That actually is above and beyond representing your client. And the reason for that is you cannot harm the court. We call the court a tribunal. You cannot bring something against the tribunal. You cannot perpetrate a fraud against the tribunal. You have to act in accordance with their ethics and canons. You have to act appropriately based on the rules that they set forth. And one of the rules is what you're witnessing right now. And it basically says, if you see wrong in this capacity, you have to speak up. You don't have to be subpoenaed and say, hey, come on in. This particular individual obviously saw wrong. She saw the court being undermined. Folks, I don't want to be too dramatic about this, but when you see something like this that basically is fraud, it's corruption. This is the type of thing that undermines great societies. Rome fell in part because of corruption, because of nonsense. It's just the way it is. So it's important that we have attorneys like this that are willing to come forward and say what the truth is. Because the truth, of course, is the truth. And it's important that our agencies are not corrupted. And if there are attorneys that are practicing and they're doing things, let's just say that these individuals are lying. If that's the case, they got to go. At a minimum, they have to be disbarred. As far as criminal charges and stuff like that, I'll leave that up to somebody else. But they need to be handled in accordance with the law, especially after doing all this nonsense that they have done. It's just really shameful. It's really ridiculous. What do you guys think about that? You guys, y'all all feel the same on that page? Let's take a look at a few of the, let me get these to pull up here. I want to take a look at a few of these text messages between Ashley Merchant and this attorney who was on the stand, this Terrence Bradley. And here's a story, by the way, as reported by the Post. Let me see if I can show you this real quick, because I had this on there. It says, Fani Willis warned Nathan Wade's lawyer to stay quiet about the affair, court filing claims they're coming after us. So it says a new witness could testify Fani Willis warned lover Nathan Wade's former business partner to stay quiet about the affair and explosive new court filing claims. They're coming after us. You don't need to talk to them about anything about us. Willis is alleged to have warned Terrence Bradley in a September 2023 phone call. Bradley, of course, is the former law partner of Nathan Wade. The call was overheard by Cobb County, Georgia prosecutor. So she's a prosecutor. They have ethics. They have to do what's right. She doesn't work for Fulton County. She works for Cobb County. That probably made it a little easier, but these people are still all colleagues, all right? According to court papers filed Monday by Trump co-defendant David Schafer. I love this David Schafer, man. He's been poking it down the sidelines for quite some time. Yeah, did you notice Fani had her dress on right? And she was looking a little bit better when she was in court the other day. I was downright proud of her. Good job, Fani. Good job. All right. Fulton County DA Fani Willis allegedly warned her lover, Nathan Wade's business partner. Here's Bradley right here, folks. Nathan Wade's business partner stay quiet about the affair, according to a new court filing. Now, listen, Bradley, I remember it during the testimony. Bradley all but said, I don't think I ever really talked to Fani Willis other than just in passing, or if I seen her in court or something to that effect. I never talked to her, never had a phone call, never nothing. As a matter of fact, it could be the case that very question was another setup, just like Nathan Wade was set up by Trump's attorney Stephen Shadow concerning these cell calls. Because he asked him, he's like, Wade, let me make sure I'm clear. If I had cell data showing, cell phone records showing that you were at Fani Willis's home, would those records be incorrect? He's like, yeah, they'd be incorrect. All right. Yeah, they would just be false. He said, okay. And of course, Nathan's thinking in his head, oh, they don't have my cell records. There's no way they can get my cell records. Well, remember, Nathan Wade is so incompetent. Remember that series I put on? He's so incompetent. He did not even know, and apparently Fani Willis didn't even know, that as an officer of the court in the state of Georgia, there is a cozy relationship between them and AT&T and Verizon. Any licensed attorney in the state of Georgia can simply fill out a real quick subpoena, hand it to AT&T, and they will give them the cell phone records they request. Some other states are a little more formal, but not in Georgia. It's just a normal part of doing business, and they did not even know that. Nathan Wade apparently didn't know it, and Fani Willis apparently didn't know it, because Fani Willis came out basically insinuating that she was going to throw people in jail that got those records. How did they get my records? How did they get that stuff? Something's wrong. So someone's breaking the law. Well, Fani, calm down. Fani, sit on your fanny a second, honey, because you need to be brought up and understand that this is normal in the state of Georgia. We can get your cell phone records, and we have them. So maybe this is another setup question for Terrence Bradley. He's going to step in it again by saying that I never had a conversation with Fani Willis. This obviously flies in the face of what I just said. How about that? Ain't that something? Okay. Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, is currently battling. Okay, that's a way to put it. It's currently battling to stay in her post, overseeing the election interference case, which charged Donald Trump and 18 others. She stands accused of carrying on. Let me scroll. She stands accused of carrying on a relationship with Wade, who she appointed special prosecutor, but hiding it from the court, presenting a conflict of interest. Not only that, she was supposed to get special permission for the special prosecutor from the Fulton County Board, and she did not do that. And unfortunately, as a negative for Judge Scott McAfee, he allowed it to go through. He said, no, we're not going to make a big deal about that. But of course, in hindsight, we know why those type of rules and laws are so important, is to make sure that we crack down on this type of nonsense, this type of behavior. But because Fani decided to spend $1 million or so of taxpayer cash without going through the proper channels, hey, it is what it is. All right. So there's conflict. Willis and Wade have said under oath, they were only romantic between 2002 and 2023, long after the case started. At a hearing over whether to disqualify Willis last week, Bradley claimed on the stand that he had no knowledge of when the two prosecutors started dating. Ain't that something? But the filing says Yeager would swear under oath that was at odds with what Bradley told Yeager in person. It's getting a little complicated, isn't it? That the romance began in 2019 during Willis's DA campaign, which is completely consistent with what Robin Yeager said on the stand, and it's consistent with what Bradley told Ashley Merchant when they were texting as BFFs back in January. And we'll take a look at that here in just a second. So everything's lining up. The evidence is mounting. It's not looking good for these folks. Let's say the call was overheard by Cobb County prosecutor Cindi Lee Yeager. There's a picture of her right there. You know, folks, it's individuals like her that have ethics, have principles, stand for something that should make you feel good about the legal system, because let's be honest about it. We know there's certain attorneys out there and certain prosecutors out there. They don't care about anybody or anything. Just look at Letitia James. Just look at Fani Willis. This woman right here obviously cares about doing whatever the truth is. Of course, I'm sure Fani Willis is going to attack her because she's apparently a white woman. I'm sure we're going to hear that fall next. But you know how Fani Willis is. It's just ridiculous. All right. Bradley also texted a lawyer from another Trump co-defendant. The pair were absolutely dating before Willis hired Wade to manage the Trump prosecution in November 2021, and then muttered, "Oh, dang," when he was confronted with that evidence on the stand. I don't know if y'all watched that with me or not. That's what he said. He had an audible, "Oh, dang." Yeah. Oh, dang's right, Bradley. You got caught. You got yourself in a problem there, friend. Yeager is willing to testify Bradley told her Wade had definitely begun a romantic relationship with Miss Willis during the time that Willis was running for district attorney in 2019 through 2020. Monday's filing says. After watching Bradley's testimony, Yeager became concerned as a result of the fact that what Mr. Bradley testified to on the witness stand was directly contrary to what Mr. Bradley had told Miss Yeager in person. Monday's filing says Willis testifies that she began dating Wade in 2022 after she hired him. She lied. The timeline is important because it can be proven that Willis lied on this. Because it can be proven that Willis lied on the stand, it would likely result in her being booted from the case and probably lose her law license and probably cause her to be brought up on perjury charges and probably other charges like honest service fraud and probably a fraud upon the court. The funny thing here, folks, is there is a RICO problem here. There is a RICO case here. But we know it doesn't involve former President Donald Trump. It involves Fani Willis and company. All right. This picture here is Mr. Handsome Nathan Wade, Special Prosecutor Wade, attending a hearing in the case, the state of Georgia versus Donald John Trump at the Fulton County Courthouse, February 27, 2024. His face was always wrinkled up like that for a long time on his forehead. Did y'all notice that? Especially when he's getting grilled on the stand by Steve Sato. This guy was literally gulping. You can see his chin going, boop, boop. Hell, that's what I'd be doing too. That way, if you haven't seen that, y'all need to see that. I'll schedule something next day or two, and we'll view that together. So, again, make sure you stay tuned on that. Man, you talk about a grilling. Oh my goodness. Woo, that was a grill. All right. But Willis' office had argued that Bradley, who testified that his claims about Wade and Willis were speculation. Can you believe that? That's what he said. That's what he said. If you didn't know that, let me tell you this. Especially when we look at the text messages, I want you to understand that's what he's trying to have everybody swallow now. He's saying, oh, you know what? Well, I did make those text messages to Ashley Merchant, but you got to understand, I was just speculating. And as a matter of fact, folks, the prosecution, the dorky kid they had handling the hearing the other day, he circled this word that says think, because at one point it was Merchant. She goes, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And they were making a big deal. Hey, it's speculation. What do you think? Well, the very next line says, absolutely. That was from Bradley. There was no thinking about it. He knew exactly what happened. There was no thinking about this. The only thing that he couldn't explain was the word absolutely. And you know what's weird again is it's not a jury he's trying to trick. It's the judge. The judge knows better. The judge knows what's going on. It's just a matter of how much of the evidence they can get admitted. That's the only thing that's really up for grabs is what can they convince the judge that should be excluded? What can they convince the judge should come in? And that's the reason why they've been talking about that so much, because it's really good for somebody like me. I love listening to how they kind of like mentally wrangle with that type of stuff. But the judge knows the truth. He knows there's a crack of BS. And I'll tell you in a second what I'd like to see happen. All right, let's go on. But Willis's office had argued that Bradley, who testified that his claims about Wade and Willis were speculation, is an unreliable witness who had every motive to lie after he'd left Wade's law practice under suspicion of sexual assault. Judge Scott McAfee has said he hopes to rule on whether Willis can stay on the case in the next 2 weeks. It was not immediately clear Monday whether the court would reopen the hearing to receive additional evidence. Reps for Willis' office did not immediately respond to the request for comment. So what they're doing, they're making a big deal about the following. They're saying that, listen, this former business partner, Terrence Bradley, had every motive to lie because he was booted from the firm by the firm from Nathan Wade because of an alleged sexual assault. Basically, this Bradley guy liked to sleep with the women in the office. And apparently, one of the women he slept with claimed she was sexually assaulted. My understanding is that particular claim was settled out of court. However, it caused a lot of damage and issues with the firm, so he was booted. Now, I have said for some time that what I believe happened is that when he got the initial call from Merchant saying, hey, you need to help me. I need to know what you know. When you look at those text messages, it's really clear he's ecstatic. He's happy. He's all too willing to help out Merchant. As a matter of fact, Merchant told him, I'm very nervous about this. If I can prove this, this is going to be huge. She knew this was going to be a world news story, definitely all over everything here in the United States. She knew what was at stake. And Bradley actually told her, hey, calm down. You're great. You got this. He told her the following: go be great. Now, that's what you call an encouragement. You know what I mean? That's exactly what transpired in this. So moving forward, what I think happened is this is January. It's not January 2023, folks. It's January 2024. It's right now, or 2 months ago now, I guess. Then you have this hearing happen in February, and you've seen Bradley get up there, and Bradley got a case of amnesia. He can't remember crap. He can't remember nothing. So he's up there and he's trying to figure out, I can't remember nothing. How am I going to get out of this? So he tries to hide behind the attorney-client privilege garbage. That didn't work. So he's answering the questions, and he's just comes up with a case I can't recall. See, when you say I can't recall, that's probably your best way to get out of a perjury trap, other than to say I want to plead the Fifth Amendment, which means you want to remain silent. Sometimes that works, sometimes it might not work. I'm not going to get off into that conversation, but when you say I can't recall, how do you prove someone really can't recall something? That's the problem. Now, it might be something that a solicitor or a prosecutor might actually take to a trial to try to prove perjury, that you're lying about not being able to recall. But generally speaking, it's very difficult to prove that right then and there you could not recall. But I will say in this case, I think realizing that this is a worldwide case, realizing what was at stake, he was thinking to himself, you know what? I cannot be responsible for another or for Fani Willis and my ex-law partner, Nathan Wade, losing this case, losing their law license, and the possibility of criminal charges. Their entire lives would be wrecked. And I think that's exactly what he thought to himself. And he's like, I'm going to change course. I wanted revenge. I wanted to, kind of get him back, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I think so. That's just my opinion. That's what I don't have any proof. That's called J.R. Duke's theory. So that's what that is. J.R. Duke's theory. So I just want you to, kind of keep that in your mind as we go through this process. I do want to show you one or two of these text messages, and let's take a peek at this and see what you'll think about these. These are kind of cool. When you look at these text messages, I want you to think the following. I want you to think, who are these people kidding? Do they think they can honestly get away with this? Because it's when you see the text messages, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go down there and pull a few of these up. So I'm in the process of getting a complete PDF of all these text messages, but I went ahead and I got to the internet and I started fishing around J.R. Duke style. And I'm like, I got to find this for my peeps. I got to find this. And I found some stuff. So let's see exactly what I got here. Let me look through the comments real quick, and we're going to tear into this. I really appreciate everybody and your comments. If you have any questions, obviously always let me know. You guys are great. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody joining me today. Linda, it's good to have you in the chat today. Daniel, yeah, that 9-0 is a great thing. Absolutely. Always appreciate North Dakota. And of course, my friend Rebecca Starr. I always love having you visit with us. And of course, Rosemary Fiera. Always good to see you. All right, Melinda, you're from Indiana. Linda Ritchie, I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, Danny, it's good to have some winning stuff happen finally. You have to admit, old Donald Trump, man, he falls into it and he comes out pretty good. That's always nice. Yeah, everything leads back to Biden and his regime of criminal. Unfortunately, it's really unfortunate, folks, the way that he has taken our great country and has caused so many problems and has just really, he's really done us all a disservice weaponizing our system of justice in this capacity to go after a person he doesn't like, to take him out of the election, to stress our constitutional republic in this particular manner. It's just sad. It just really is sad. HR 777. Yeah, there's reasonable Democrats. Absolutely. There are people that are the older style Democrats that are more conservative. Someone my grandfather specifically, would enjoy. Believe it or not, even Bill Clinton, by today's standard, he's very conservative. I know some of you are probably gagging when I say that, but it's true. The Robert F. Kennedy, I believe he's running still for presidency. So I mean, there are, yeah, she is the gift that keeps on giving, no doubt about that. Hey, Lenny. Thank you, everybody. Okay, Demo Rats. Yeah, American Nana. I'm always so glad to see you in the chat. Thank you so much. I heard about an emergency court hearing for. Yeah, that's what they're talking about. So at the one of the hearings is that the Senate, the Georgia, what I was talking about earlier, the Georgia State Senate has sent Ashley Merchant, again, the attorney for Michael Roman. They've sent her a request. Matter of fact, here's her photo right here. This lady right here, Ashley Merchant. They've sent her a subpoena, and they want to see her first thing Wednesday morning. And it's supposed to be televised. If that's the case, Lord willing, I'll be all over it. And Danny, that's what we're talking about. The court hearing downtown Atlanta, Fulton County, with the members of who's ever going to be doing the questioning in the state Senate. There, it's not the federal; it's the state Senate. Just so y'all can kind of keep it straight, you know. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's see. Hey, I appreciate it, Danny. You guys can always check back. I publish all my videos right away. So I realize sometimes if it's a 2, 3, 4 hour video, I know that I try not to make them that long. The judge is going to make a decision within the next 2 weeks. So you can figure whatever 2 weeks are from today. That's what that's going to be. Rose, thanks for joining us. Rose Mendoza. We got the other Rosemarie Faria. All right. And then, all right, bigger doings. Got the popcorn ready. Yeah, and y'all know tomorrow is, what is tomorrow? The Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday is tomorrow. Going to be a huge day. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow and talking about Nikki Haley. She's kind of become the new Liz Cheney, it looks like to me, but that's just my opinion. Let's take a look at these text messages for just a second. See if y'all find any of this stuff interesting. So here's one of the text messages. See if it gets any bigger on this thing here. Nah, it ain't gonna make a difference in the size. All right. Now this is between Ashley Merchant and his ex-law partner, Terrence Bradley. It says, just like date, don't hire him. Do you think it started before she hired him? Okay, this is the absolutely. This is Terrence Bradley going, absolutely. It started when she left the DA's office and DA's office and was judge in South Fulton. They met at the municipal court CLE conference. Hey, that's consistent with what we just read. The CLE is CE, continuing education. That's what they're talking about. CLE may be continuing law education, would be my guess, but it's CE, it's continuing education. They met at the municipal CLE conference. All right, that's what I figured when he was married. And it goes on. So the other day, the prosecution, that kid was making a big deal over this word right here, think, right in the middle. Do you think it started before she hired him? And he was trying to say that proves he was speculating. What he didn't bother mentioning to the judge or to you, and I'll go ahead and mention to you, the next word is absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what happened. Does that sound like speculation? When I'm speculating, I speculate, and I tell you so. I don't think I've ever used the word absolutely in conjunction with my speculation. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what we're talking about here. The other messages is okay, it's okay. Add me to footnote. See, she even sent the court motion to Bradley that she was going to file to have DA Willis removed. She sent that motion to him to review it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it looks good. Yeah." She goes, "Oh, here's a good one here, guys. This is between Terrence and Ashley again. It's okay. Add me back. Add me to footnote 15 and how much I make." I took you out. This is Merchant talking. She goes, I took you out. I can add you back. Good point. He goes, yeah, add it back. Anything else? Anything else inaccurate? He goes, no, it looks good. She goes, Merchant goes, how do you think they will respond? I'm trying to anticipate. Obviously, Merchant was, in my opinion, she's setting him up just in case he changes his story. Ashley doesn't want to go in there and be accused of making stuff up. She wants to make sure she's got her proof. As a matter of fact, the prosecution actually came out and asked for what's called sanctions, which is basically a penalty, a fine. I guess it could be even worse, but essentially it's fines generally when it comes to attorney sanctions. And she come to her own defense, and Ashley's husband, who's also an attorney, came to her defense very vigorously, I might add, hammering the state for making that terrible, unfounded comment that she made it up. And of course, the text messages prove that it's all made up. Just that simple. What this text message is about is she made these motions and she was going to go ahead and remove Terrence out of the motion as a source of information because she didn't want to cause him problems. And he's like, no, it's no problem. Go ahead and add me back. In other words, he wanted them to know by whose hand they were dying by. Does that make any sense? At least that's J.R. Duke's theory too. That's kind of what I'm thinking happened. Now, let me see what this one says. Here's another little text message. They met in Fulton County. They met at the municipal court. That's what I think. Is this accurate? Upon information and belief, Willis and Wade met while both were serving as magistrate judges and began a romantic relationship at the same time. He said, no municipal court. And she goes, thank you. So he's critiquing to make sure the information is 100% accurate. This is not speculation, folks. This is someone that knows exactly what they're talking about. So it's just really amazing that I hope he doesn't get away with that. I just absolutely hope they don't get away with that. So I'm going to get us a better photo of these text messages so we can take a deeper dive onto this. And remember, the records just from January 1st to the beginning of November, 35 times his phone pinged at her home, 10,000 text messages during that same time frame, 2,000 voice calls. Hey, baby. Yeah, I made it home. Just want you to know. Hey, baby, I'm sorry I missed your call. Yeah, put on that red dress and put it on backwards. I'm going to take you out tonight. And 12,000 total interactions. Hey, you know what? My girlfriend and I, we have a great relationship. We get along just peachy. I can promise you. I have not texted her 10,000 times. No way. No, sir. And if you're watching, baby, I will send you a text. It's not 10,000 of them. That's just too much. So what do you think about that? That's kind of cuckoo, ain't it? All right. Bigger Doings. Thank you. And we have, hey, Rob, thanks for joining up. And thanks for viewing. I say, do you think McAfee will allow, you know what I think is going to happen? I think his mind's already made up. Whether he allows or not, I don't think it matters. I think his mind is already made up. He just has to write the motion, this type of thing. Now, I could be wrong. What I'd like to see him do, I would, and this may surprise you, maybe it won't surprise you there, Rob. I would like to see him bring all this to a complete stop. I'd like to see the judge hire a special prosecutor. What? Yeah, the judge could stop all this, hire another special prosecutor with a limited focus. The focus is to get to the bottom of this mess, this disqualification hearing. This guy could get the answers the judge is looking for. He can take depositions. He could have requests for admissions, requests for production, interrogatory. He could go visit the places in question. He could start doing forensics or whatever needs to be done. Start doing the hard work to find all the little video cameras around that might have some information on it. If the judge wants to get to the bottom of it, start having sworn testimony taken again by all parties involved. You think about it. You could hit the neighbors next door, 2 doors this way, 2 doors that way, the neighbors across the street, track down who used to live in that apartment or whatever. I mean, listen, if they want to put some resources on it, they could put resources on it and figure out exactly what's going on, if that's what they want to do. Now, will the judge do that? I don't know. But what I will say is when you still have 18 people facing RICO charges where they could be put in a cage for up to 20 years per offense that they're convicted on the RICO charge, the judge has to make sure it's right. You have no room for error. It has to be flawless. There cannot be even the appearance of impropriety. I'm sure y'all would agree with me on that. If you're guilty, you need to pay when you do something wrong. I mean, listen, it's just the way it is. But you have to have an honest system. You have to have honest prosecutors. And we all know what's going on here. We do have a RICO situation. The RICO situation is we have the White House, whatever that means. We have the White House colluding with all these other parties to take down Trump. It's just that simple. That's the reason that other report is out, that there is a plant by the name of Jeff DeSantis that we'll be talking about in the days to come, inside the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, working hand in hand with Fani Willis. And the reports say that his job is to report back to the White House and keep Fani Willis singularly focused on taking down Donald Trump, thereby disenfranchising you and me from being able to vote for who we want to vote for as president. It's just that simple, my friend Rob. That's what they want to do. And that's what I'd like to see them taken care of. Gino, love you too, sweetheart. All right. First time posting. Glad to have you, Gino. Glad to have you. Gloria, it's always good to hear from you. Hello to you. Rob, thanks for your comments. I think you're correct about Judge. I'm hoping this guy's got backbone. This judge is only 34 years old. My understanding is he was just appointed in February to the Superior Court judge level by the current governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. So this is basically one of his cases, and y'all may or may not know this, but generally when cases are distributed, it's kind of like a random lottery. There's not like, oh, I'll take that case. Oh, Bill, you take that case. No, Chuck, I'll take that. No. It's like a random lottery, and the judges show up and they're handed their file. And that's their case. And in his file, he got this case. I tell you what, that's got to be a little bit of an awakening for this guy. 34 years old is relatively young, and it sure is young for a judge in the Superior Court. I have not agreed with everything he's done, but he's got his plate full. I guess that's the best way to say it. Sergeant, it's good to see you again. Are you going to Fani's campaign fundraiser? Yeah, no doubt. I have notes on that too, on that campaigning. There's been published reports all day long today about the fact that Ashley Merchant used to be a supporter, I guess you could say, of Nathan Wade's back in 2016. We saw this already, but it's just now, let me show you the screen. It's just now being reported in the main press that she was a fundraiser for him or a supporter. They're making it like it's something salacious, but we already looked at this in the papers. We've already been through this. This is Ashley Merchant right here. And her shirt says Wade, May 24th, 2016. So this is the front and back of Ashley Merchant. And it looks to me like downtown Marietta. Photos reveal Fani Willis's court nemesis campaign for Nathan Wade. Yeah, apparently Nathan Wade was running for a judgeship at that time. And they pulled this out of one of the court documents. I believe it was the plaintiff's response to the motion to have Fani Willis and her office disqualified. And they went ahead. Yeah, so when it comes in papers, you take everything salacious you can and you put it in there. Both sides do it. It's a blood sport, folks, when it comes to these court things. Trust me. So, but this has been all over the news today. Like somehow this is salacious. Somehow this is bad. Just because Fani Willis, for example, got $150 from the judge, that doesn't mean squat. These people are always donating and trading money back and forth. Now, if it was $15,000, if it was $150,000, that might be different. 150 is like the minimum. It's just what they do. I compared it the other day to us going to work and someone's kids. How many times you've been approached for Girl Scout cookies? You know what I'm saying? Generally, you just kind of pull out the wallet or get out the checkbook and you just have to buy the damn cookie. You don't want the cookie. You just do it. It's the same thing with these folks and these campaign contributions. So don't let that $150 get you all bent out of shape. It shouldn't be that way at all. It's par for the course. These people are all colleagues. They work in the same buildings together every day. They see each other every day. They're supposed to put on their professional caps and separate the office broship from the work that has to be done. And for the most part, they do that, unless they're corrupt like Fani Willis, Nathan Wade and company. But I have high hopes for this judge. I'll reserve further comment, Sergeant, until we see what goes on with this guy here. And let's see, Margaret. Let's see, Ohio here. Welcome. Are you new at NW? Is that what that means? Oh, I'm sorry, Northwest Ohio. Sorry, my brain is fading fast. I apologize about that. Thank you for being with us today. And Rob, he's up for yeah, he is up for re-election. And I believe Fani Willis is up for re-election. Yep, that is true. I don't know how I feel about judges that are elected. It's good and bad. I'll get into that another day, but I almost personally would rather see appointed judges. The only problem with that, you can't get them out of there if you don't like them. But it's like anything in life, folks. There's good, there's bad. It goes back and forth, right? All right, Charles Hooser, what about state attorney general? Can he get involved in the case? It depends on the state. My understanding is no. This will go if DA Willis is removed from this case, which I hope she is, and her office by extension. What they should do, there's a special prosecutor or something in Georgia, and it's supposed to go to that individual's office, and they can do whatever they want with it. They can assign it to someone else. They can just sit on it. They can just think about it, or they could just dismiss it. I have predicted from day one when this motion was filed, this case is dead. It's over with. The only thing we haven't had yet is the funeral. That's just my opinion, and I stand by it. I've said the same thing about the Donald Trump cases pertaining to the Supreme Court. Everybody's like, oh, they're not going to take the case on the immunity. They're not going to take it. They're going to reject it. I said, they're going to take it. Boom, they took it. And everybody now, oh, he's not going to get immunity. There's no way they're going to give him Blake. It's recorded right now for all time's sake. He will win the immunity claim. And if he doesn't, it's going to be very close. And what I mean is they'll say, okay, it's not blanket immunity, but if it's involving his official acts as president, he is immune. And that will also be good for Donald Trump. Why? Because when it goes back down to Judge Schafer's office or whatever, the president will then enter a motion saying it was my official acts, I'm immune. She'll say, no, you're not. And then he'll appeal. And it just delay. And hopefully he's elected president and he can just pardon himself. End of story. It's really just that simple. So I've already kind of thought about that too. Thanks for the comment, Charles. James, this is not the first time a judge has told. Oh, yeah, another judge. Yeah, there's a video that I have on that too, my friend. That's exactly right, James. This Fani Willis DA was scolded heavily by a judge previously pertaining to it was another individual she's trying to indict. She might have actually indicted the individual in this RICO case, but either she was not allowed to indict the individual or the person was simply, the charges were dropped because the person she wanted to indict, Fani Willis, supported his rival. And she decided to have a campaign event for his rival. So imagine this. You got a DA with the power of her office supporting a candidate for a particular position, and then his rival you're trying to put in prison for 20 years. So the judge wasn't too happy about that, but thanks, James. Hey, Gloria. All right, thanks for the hard work. Oh, I appreciate you. Yeah, we're going to be busy. We're going to be busy here. We're going to review it all together and see if we can all make sense out of it. And yeah, Margie, we were just talking about that new witness. That was the affidavit we were just talking about. Unless you're talking about something else, but the new witness is going to be that solicitor from Cobb County, the lady that does the solicitor. What was her name? Yeager or something? We were just reading it a second ago, but that is the big news as far as the story goes. Let me see if it tells me the name of her. It was Miss. Yeah, that's what it was. It's of course it was reported by the New York Post. That's about the only place I can find information on it. But yes, it's Cindi Lee Yeager. She's the solicitor for Cobb County. So that's what that's about. Linda, thank you for joining us today. Oh, and you're from France. I love it. Hello, France. Good to see everybody. I love it when I find people all over the world. I love to enjoy. Hey, Danny. Yeah, I love enjoying the technology and seeing all that. That's just fantastic. Yeah, Margaret, the emergency hearing. That's the one for Wednesday, I believe. Another witness just came forward. Danny's done. Well, if the judge says he's going to have another hearing, I haven't heard that yet because I'm talking with you. But we'll just stay. I'll stay on top of the events. I guarantee that we'll all stay on top of it together. I can absolutely assure everybody that I will do that. So, hey, if y'all haven't done so already, please, you're still with me, hit that thumbs up button, jack up my numbers here a little bit, at least hit that thumbs up button for me. If you want to subscribe, hey, hit that subscribe button. That way you're informed every time a video or a comment or whatever comes out. I have several different series I was telling you all about in another video earlier today, and Lord willing, I'll be going live tomorrow. So it's getting, we're at that 10:30 part. So folks, as I always say, I want you to keep that mind free, never give up. And until next time, I